I think the first thing a person needs is they need a dream. You gotta have a dream. I don't know how people survive in life with any kind of peace or happiness or fulfillment without having a dream. A dream needs to be something that there is a possibility of fulfilling. Otherwise, it's not a dream, it's a fantasy. But you need a dream. And don't be afraid to dream big. You know, the saying is that if your dreams don't scare you to death, they're not big enough. Your dream needs to be bigger than you are right now.
There's a specific person that you've got to get out of your life right now. It's the person that wants to remind you of who you were. It's the person who wants to remind you of how you used to be, what you used to do, how you used to do it. That used to person's dead. Anybody who wants to resurrect that person cannot be in your life. There is nothing more important than getting people out of your life. They want to pretend you're the person you were yesterday. They want to act like you're the person you were yesterday. You're evolving, you're growing, you're advancing. You need to be focused on you right now, and anybody that wants to bring you back, anybody that wants to pretend you are the same person that they knew 1, 2, 6, 7 years ago, get them the hell out of your life.
Trajectory. Focus on your trajectory. You can't keep living in this all or nothing mentality where you have to do the perfect set of perfect things in the perfect order, just like that guy you follow on Instagram does. That guy's full-time job is personal development. He gets paid to sit in a cold plunge. You don't. You are going to make mistakes. You are going to mess up. So if you have that all or nothing mentality, when it's not all, it's going to be nothing. You're going to be the guy that gets one flat tire and then gets out of his car and slashes the other 3 simply because he doesn't have 4 perfectly inflated tires. Makes no sense. The measuring stick is not, am I perfect? The measuring stick is, did I get closer to who I want to be, or did I get further away? Am I moving in the right direction? Am I going down the right path? Focus on path over perfection.
You're doing this for you. And this is something I've only realized relatively recently, but after a certain level of material comfort, the only person that you need to do this thing for is you. Your conscience knows when you're being honest and when you're not. I think optimizing to make that person happy, that conscience happy, is a really good idea.
What if problems were always gifts? What if every single problem really was a gift in your life? What if every problem you ever had was life happening for you, not to you? What if everything in our lives was guided? What if everything in our life was divine timing? Everything, even the pain.
What are you gonna do when no one's watching? Are you gonna operate to your standard, or are you gonna cut corners? I can tell you this, dude. I try very fucking hard to operate in my standard all the time, 24 hours a day, even when no one's watching, especially when no one's watching, because that's when you actually gain more of the discipline and strength that you need to uphold those standards. I think every single fucking human should have a set of core values and a mission statement and a vision for their own lives. And most people don't. Most people just go along with the flow. They swing into someone else's vision and they stay there for a little bit, and they swing into someone else's for a little bit. And then they get to be older in life and they're like, why the fuck has nothing worked out for me? Well, the reason nothing's worked out for you is because you don't live what you say you're about. You don't have a plan for yourself. You don't have a mission statement for yourself. You try to cut the corners when no one's watching. Bro, you'll lose that way. That's just it.
It's always harder, takes longer, and costs more than you think it will. It makes sense because if it didn't, then everyone would have it. And if everyone had it, then it wouldn't be worthwhile. And so if it's hard, that's amazing because it will make you that much harder once you conquer it. And it will also make it harder for anybody else who wants to follow in your footsteps. And so the higher up the mountain you climb, the thinner the air gets, and the rarer the climber or explorer must be in order to get there.
If you can survive temporary pain, on the other side of temporary pain, you will meet another version of you. Every time I wanted to quit, I didn't make a decision to not quit the rest of my life. I made a decision not to quit for one more day. One more day, just don't quit. One more day, hang on.
People who win are disciplined about winning. They don't just casually take a look at this. They don't just casually try something. They jump in with both feet because they absolutely intend to win at it. And that's gonna require discipline and consistency on your part. As you start to study, you're gonna learn things. You're gonna learn the skills that you need. That's gonna require discipline on your part. All of which, by the way, you can learn any of these skills. You can learn anything, but you're gonna have to be disciplined.
There's this revered master who everybody wants to study under, and it's almost impossible to get to him. And so he's interviewing candidates. And the aspiring samurai comes to him and says, "How long will it take me to be a master?" And he says, 10 years. And so then the young samurai, eager to kind of prove himself, he's like, well, what if I work twice as hard and I work day and night to become a master? How long will it take then? And so the master sits back and looks at him and says, 20 years. The young samurai is like, wait, what? How can I take twice as long if I'm working harder? The master replies, if you have one eye fixed on your destination, then you only have one eye left to find your way.
But I think what's truly important is the ability to detach yourself from the outcome. It is one of the most important things that I have adopted in my life. Set the goal, know where you want to go, know where you're aiming, and then let it go. It's possible, in fact, it's probable and likely it might take you longer to get there. And so what if it does? If it does, you're still making forward progress every single day.
It's really important that we understand that better is not always visible. You can be getting better and it not be public, because very often private victories will precede public accomplishments.
Most people never pick up the phone and call. Most people never ask. And that's what separates sometimes the people that do things from the people that just dream about them. You gotta act. And you've got to be willing to fail. You've got to be willing to crash and burn. You know, with people on the phone, with starting a company, with whatever. If you're afraid of failing, you won't get very far.
You need discipline. You need personal discipline. There's times when you don't feel like doing what needs to be done to get this. But you got to say, feelings has nothing to do with it. This is my dream. This is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to do the things that I don't feel like doing. I'm going to do the things I don't want to do. I'm going to do the things that don't come easy to me, that do not come natural to me. I'm going to get up and do it. You can't live your life on feelings.
Loneliness. It's a feeling we all experience, though it's rarely something we talk about. When it creeps in, it can feel overwhelming, suffocating even, as though you've been cast aside, forgotten, or left to face the world alone. But here's a thought. What if loneliness wasn't something to run from? What if instead it held the keys to a deeper understanding of yourself? Loneliness is often misunderstood. It's painted as emptiness, as a void that needs to be filled with people, noise, or distractions. In reality, loneliness isn't the absence of connection. It's the opportunity to reconnect with yourself. And in a world that's always pulling you in a million directions, solitude is a rare and powerful thing. We live in a culture that glorifies being busy, being surrounded, being plugged in. We equate a full social calendar or an endless stream of notifications with a full life. And when that quiet moment comes, when the noise fades and the distractions stop, loneliness feels like failure, as if being alone somehow makes you incomplete. That's the misconception. Loneliness isn't about what's missing outside of you. It's about what you have yet to find within yourself. When everything else is stripped away, when the spotlight dims and the crowd disperses, you're left with the one person who will always be with you, yourself. And that's where the real work begins. There's a reason so many of life's breakthroughs happen in the quiet. When you're alone, you're forced to face the parts of yourself that are often buried under the noise, the insecurities you try to ignore, the dreams you've been too afraid to pursue, the questions you've been too distracted to answer. Solitude gives you the space to reflect, to feel, to grow. It's in those quiet moments that you start to see yourself more clearly. Not the version of you that you present to the world, but the real you. The one with doubts and fears and flaws, but also strength and resilience and untapped potential. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. It doesn't happen when you're surrounded by constant validation or external noise. It happens when you're willing to sit with yourself, to embrace the discomfort of being alone, and to use it as a chance to understand who you are and what you want. Silence has a way of bringing clarity, of stripping away the distractions and revealing what truly matters. In solitude, you can hear your own thoughts without interference. You can tune into the voice inside you, the one that gets drowned out in the chaos of daily life. What is that voice telling you? What dreams have you put on hold? What truths have you been avoiding? Loneliness doesn't just leave you with questions. It gives you the space to find answers. And those answers, they're the foundation for the life you're meant to create. Instead of seeing loneliness as a problem to solve, try seeing it as a tool to use. Use it to reconnect with yourself.
The ability to be comfortable in your own company is a rare and powerful thing. It means you're not afraid of the quiet, of the stillness, of the moments when it's just you and your thoughts. It means you've built a foundation within yourself that doesn't crumble when the world around you shifts. When you learn to value your own company, loneliness stops feeling like a burden. It becomes a choice, a time to recharge, to reflect, to reconnect. It becomes a reminder that you are enough, exactly as you are. Here's the reality. The time you spend alone is never wasted. It's where the most important growth happens. It's where you learn what you stand for, what you value, and what kind of life you want to build. Loneliness can be painful, yes, but it can also be transformative. It can teach you resilience. It can help you find clarity. It can show you that your strength doesn't come from the people around you. It comes from within. If you're feeling lonely right now, don't run from it. Sit with it. Embrace it. Use it as an opportunity to grow, to reflect, to reconnect with the person you're becoming. This is your time to build something extraordinary, not outside of you, but within you. Loneliness isn't the absence of connection. It's the space where you rediscover yourself. And in that space, you'll find everything you've been looking for.